Looking good, witches. Ew.
Because I do know most of my friends, well, I know three of my friends have. I got your pumpkin more orange. I cut out. I love carving pumpkins. It's sort of Halloween, so we're carving pumpkins is my favorite thing. Although you can't keep it in. These are barely even wet.
Are they?
Yeah.
Maybe they've been in there for too long. Or maybe somebody left the lid open. If you leave the lid open, the water evaporates.
What does that mean?
Well, the air can have water in it. Have you ever heard the word humidity before? You know, in the summer when it's really humid, it means there's a lot of water in the air. And you know how when it's really humid, it's sort of hard to breathe and your skin feels sticky all the time? It's because there's a lot of water in the air.
Or a spider. I think I'm a spider maybe. No. Okay. Look, I got these are my favorite. I'm just gonna check.
Kit Kat!
Yeah, that's the red thing.
Yeah, they're my favorite too, but I never buy them. Here, do you want me to show you something? I'm going to show you something. See, these both have it. See this little thing here? Nestle, they make these chocolate bars. It's a big company. It's a huge company. It's one of the biggest companies. They own loads of things.
And then that's
But they also
candy tastes delicious.
They also do some really, really bad things around the world. So I don't buy their candy because I don't want them to have my money.
Why? So what do they do around the world?
Well, one example is they make baby formula. Do you know what baby formula is?
No.
So baby formula is sometimes mummies can't make milk from their breasts.
Yeah.
And for those mums, it's really wonderful that there's this stuff called baby formula that you can give your babies if you can't make your own milk. But what Nestle did is they went to countries where people didn't have very much money. And they said to them, do you know what? We make this stuff and it's better than your breast milk. So you should always give your babies this instead of your breast milk. And they were lying.
Because it's bad for them?
Well, it's not bad for babies, but breast milk is definitely better. So if you can breastfeed, you should. But Nestle lied to them. They lied to them. And they said what we make is better than breast milk. Now, why do you think Nestle would do that?
I don't know. Because they want it. They do green stuff and still make delicious candy.
So why do you think they would lie?
Because people want money. Because they want them.
They want money. They want people to buy formula. Even people who don't need to buy formula, they want them to buy formula. So they trick women into stopping breastfeeding.
Mom, what is this thing?
By telling them that it's better for their babies. It says Kit Kat.
He has a scratch along his eye.
And he has a scratch along his eye.
He's been in a lot of fights.
Battles.
Yeah. And once he got shot by a cannon. Tires me out my airplane. It makes me really dry and really soon it tires me out.
Yeah, it's called a sugar high and a sugar crash.
Because when you have so much sugar, it only stays up there for like a minute and then it drops down.
We should learn about what happens to your body when you eat loads of sugar.
Today's episode, let me explain the impact of sugar on you. And fat in the liver or converts it to fat.
So that is, your body saves it for later. Because when we used to be hunter-gatherers, do you know what a hunter-gatherer is? We were talking about this the other day, but you weren't here. So right now, where do people get their food from?
Grocery store?
Yeah, exactly. Before grocery stores were invented, everybody had to grow their own food. Everybody was a farmer. That was agricultural. So if you think about this, back here is when people first existed. And right here is where we live.
You done this before.
Yeah, but Hannah wasn't here. Right here is how long grocery stores have existed. Just this tiny little bit here was grocery stores. And then like this much was when people farmed and grew their own food. But before that, whoa, all that time people were hunter-gatherers. What do you think hunter-gatherers eat?
Food. Leaves.
They eat stuff that they can hunt or something that they can gather. So what
Is
kind
that why animals started to become rarer and rarer and rarer?
Yeah, especially the big ones. Remember they used to have mammoths and giant sloths and all these big animals? People, they were like, I could eat for weeks off of that. So they hunted them all. And buffalo and all those big animals that we don't have very
And
much
deer
of.
or buffalo?
Buffalo are giant cows. So people used to hunt and they used to gather. What kind of things do you think you would gather if you lived
When
in the
you said
woods?
buffalo, I thought of a camel. I thought of the type of camel. Like when I thought of a tooth.
Exactly. What kinds of
And-
things would you find on trees?
Like raspberries.
Yeah,
Or something,
yeah,
blueberries.
yeah. Okay, so when we used to be hunter-gatherers, some days you couldn't find any food at all.
Why?
It's hard finding food in the woods.
Well, yeah.
Do you know how to find food in the woods?
I mean, not really.
Well, not really.
We know some places that have food.
We know a few places, yeah. We know a few places, so it's hard. So sometimes
Like the place with the horses.
sometimes you don't have any food. So what your body does is, if today I have lots of food and I eat a whole bunch of food, my body's gonna save it. And that's what fat is. It's your body saving food for later.
Get your butt away.
So if I was a hunter-gatherer, I would not do very well because my body does not hold on to fat. I would be hungry all the time. Go on.
Especially if you had a baby.
Yeah. But if your body can hold on to fat, then it holds it and you have it when you need it. But now, because we have grocery stores, it's really easy for us to eat too much food and we don't need to save it for later, do we? Our bodies don't need to save it for later because our fridge can save it for later.
Come here.
Too much sugar. Definitely too much sugar. Maybe I should take a break of sugar.
I think that's a good idea.
But before I go to sleep, I gotta put on my pajamas. Because I have space jammies. I'll be right back.
The video that I'm about to post, I talk in it about I see my job as sort of an apprenticeship. Like I'm the mentor and they're the apprentices. And I'm sort of teaching them through example how life goes. But that a central piece of that is that the children have to enjoy hanging out with me. Which is tricky because it means you have to make everything fun and you can't lose your temper with them and you have to be very patient and you have to let them make a mess and all those sorts of things. And then you have to let them quit when they're done. Maybe when they're older things will be a bit different, but at this stage that's the way we have to handle it. So a perfect example of that is yesterday I had to clean out the chicken coop because the ducks make it a mess. So I wanted to, before when we went into winter, I wanted to make sure that the chicken coop was cleaned. So I started doing it and Hannah and Bethany both came and helped me, which was really cool. They quite enjoyed helping. I mean, they made a mess for sure. It's all over the place. But it made the job easier for me and we enjoyed each other's company. And I like to think that they might somehow internalize this idea that work doesn't have to be work, that work can be fun. I don't know. Let's see if it works. It might not. There's lots of parenting techniques that I've used over the years that I thought, oh, this will make them like this, and it totally didn't at all. Baby-led weaning, this idea that like you just give babies food from your plate and then they'll be really experimental eaters. Here I am with 2 kids that only eat bread.
Hannah, come take a look at that. Come quick, Hannah. I'll go back up.
That's a good one. I've been asking myself all day if there was something anything in particular that I wanted to talk to you about. But my mind has just been completely blank. I'm like completely blank, like crickets. And it occurred to me that I'm just really tired, which I think is a pretty standard state of mind for mothers. How you doing, baby? I've struggled with insomnia my whole life, so I know tired. I'm familiar with tired. I'm quite accustomed to tired. But tired took on a whole new definition once I had kids. Not only can I be more tired than I knew was even possible, there are other kinds of tired that I didn't realize existed. There's your old, I'm physically tired because I've been chasing after children all day and picking them up and carrying them and getting them this and getting them that and then cooking them food and then cleaning up the mess and then cleaning up more mess and then cleaning up more mess and then carrying them to bed screaming and those sorts of things. So there's physically tired. And then there's sleepy tired. So like the kids didn't go to bed until 10 o'clock last night, which means I didn't get to bed until 11 o'clock last night. And then Bethany woke up at 2 and Abby woke up at 4 and then Abby crawled into bed with me at 6 and there's sleepy tired. And then that happens every single night for like 6 years in a row. To the point where you're just so tired you don't even know that you're tired because you don't know what it feels like to have had a good night's sleep. The other kind of tired that I didn't know existed was emotionally tired. I get emotionally tired from hanging out with children. Part of it is trying to have empathy for people who are for a 4-year-old, getting the wrong cup is the end of the world. And me as a mother, I have 2 choices on how to respond to that. I can build a wall and be hard, or I can drop the wall and be soft. One of those is better for the children, and one of those is better for me. Obviously, building a wall means I don't exhaust my emotional energy as quickly. You putting that one in the fridge too? Okay, so where were we? 17 interruptions and an entire dinner later. I think I was talking about exhaustion, specifically emotional exhaustion. Okay, so I can build a wall around my own heart and I can be hard, which protects my emotions, but then it means that they're not having their needs met. Or I can break down that wall and I can be emotionally available for them, and I can be empathetic, and I can be encouraging, and I can be soft, a soft place for them to land. And that's very good for them. But it's quite harmful for me after a while, because it means that I'm just constantly being emotionally drained by taking care of their 7 million things that upset them every day. The other aspect of doing this that I find emotionally exhausting is I'm constantly keeping an eye on the mental state of the 3 girls to try to be aware of where they're all at, so that I can anticipate potential collisions and potential conflict between them. Because if I can identify the conflict early, I can sort of give them pointers and tips and reminders on how to negotiate conflict as it arises, as opposed to waiting until they're all flipping their lids and furious and attacking each other. Which is another thing I found when I used to run daycare. When I first opened my daycare, I was allowed to have 6 children in care. And when I had 6 children in care, I couldn't do that. I couldn't be aware of the emotional state of each child. I couldn't keep track of that much information. There's just too much going on. So oftentimes I didn't know where a kid was until they had already gone over the edge. Whereas the idea is to catch them as they head toward the edge. I also find making these videos really helps me with that. Watching the footage that I took earlier in the day, I often notice things that I didn't notice before, which I talked about in the previous video. I think that's about it for me today. I think I need to stare into space for a little while, do something mindless, and go to bed early. I find I get very easily overstimulated by doing this all day, by keeping an eye on all the children all day, and trying to keep track of everyone's emotional state. By the end of the day, I don't have anything left, and I really need to just take me time. I need peace and quiet. I need space. I need to not be touched. I need to not be yelled at. I need to not be asked to do things. I need to just be alone. It doesn't happen very often, unfortunately. Anyways, thanks for hanging out with us today. I'll see you next time.